he would suffer financial.
We're having an event. It's called Voices. It's a view into the criminal justice system through the people who have been through it, like actually in it. And so they're going to be speaking there. These are 4 amazing speakers. Stick around.
Awesome.
Having an event at 3.
I'm in the juvenile justice class, and so our original thing was she brought in some people who have been in the juvenile justice system and are currently on probation right now. We were supposed to work with them to kind of figure out how to fix things, how to make things better, kind of get a better understanding of them. And so my group developed a kind of symposium that we're going to have here in the UC.
We're going to have a bunch of speakers, we're going to have 4, who are either incarcerated in their lifetime or are currently incarcerated, to tell their stories and to explain their experience with the criminal justice system, especially the juvenile justice system. We really wanted to give them a platform to tell their story because their story often isn't told. Textbooks don't take into account the personal hardships and experiences that they go through.
So today we're here at the Voices event and we're just waiting for a couple people to start. We're going to talk about how they were convicted of a Measure 11 crime. So we thought, what better place than to start with our pamphlet and kind of talk about Measure 11.
Measure 11 is mandatory sentencing for very specific crimes, 24 specific crimes that are violent. They are bad crimes. And it takes away the discretion from the judge being able to say this is your first offense or this is the context of what happened. None of that matters any longer. It is just, you committed this crime, you're found guilty of this crime, so you have this mandatory minimum sentence, period. There are problematic parts to this ballot, but what we focused on in this class is that youth as young as 15 are caught up in Measure 11. So if you are 15 years old and you are charged with a Measure 11 crime, you are automatically sent to adult court. If you are found guilty, you are automatically sentenced with this mandatory minimum sentence. Shortest is 5 years, 10 months, and it goes up to 25 years, depending on the crime. They can stack Measure 11 charges also. So you can do 5 years, 10 months. When you finish that, you do another 5 years, 10 months. And so these children, as young as 15, are being put away for sentences that are not appropriate to their cognitive development when they committed this crime.
My story isn't unique. It's not special. On the contrary, it's sad for the simple fact my story is the same of too many young men that fall victim of their environment and their circumstances.
It's really easy to write people off as like a felon, so they've been convicted of a felony, and not really think of all the contributing factors that lead up to that, because a lot of the times it's how they grew up, where they grew up, the people that were around them, their parents, all these other influencing factors that lead to them making that decision.
It's not just they're bad people or they made bad choices consistently or anything like that, because often the perception is, well, they made their choice or it's on them and they deserve it. But when you actually hear the circumstances and hear how intelligent and how kind these people are, it brings back the humanity. They're not delinquents. They were just charged with delinquent acts.
The more I stayed with this person, the more I developed of the perception of what it meant to be a man. And I was picking up these lessons from him, which was a man does not cry, a man does not show affection in public, a man is strong, a man is fearless, and he doesn't think twice. And this was the imagery I was being brought up with. Now at that time, I'm about 13 years old, about 12 years old, 13 years old, and this is how I'm being developed. My father, he used to come home, and when he would come home, he was called flashing. He'd flash on me. I'd be sitting there doing whatever I was while I was chilling. He'd come up on me and flash me. Stand up, boy, protect yourself, defend yourself. So that's what you did. You stood up and defend yourself, and you get beat on, you get laid out. So that was a constant. And although this is, terrible for the mind of anybody, especially for a young adult, it built me, and it built me, and it built me, and it made me stronger, and it made me stronger, in that it still hardened my heart while making me stronger on the outside and the inside. The one day when he finally came home and he came over and I seen him walk across the room and I had my eyes on him, I already knew where he was going. So I was ready, and he came up on me and flexed on me, and hands up, I went straight up quick, and I stood up to him like a man. I said, "What's up there, bro? We doing this, we're doing this." And he looked into me into my eyes, and he looked at me deep in my eyes, and he said, "Okay, boy, you a man." He went to my room, grabbed my pistol, grabbed all my gear, all my stuff, and he put the pistol in my hand, and he said, "If you can shoot me, you a man. If you can pull the trigger, you a man. If you can make that, then you a man." I couldn't do it. So he threw everything I had outside my house, and he said, "Get out of my life. You ain't nothing. You ain't no man. You ain't no son of mine." So as I go, and I hit the streets. I had to be arrested that night. I had all my money on me, all my trees on me, and my heat, and got arrested that night. As that lifestyle progressed, I felt like I could not, reach to these people. Well, even my mother was so distant in the midst of, she was just trying to just live and feed all of my brothers and sisters. And I realized that, so I had no hard feelings towards her either. So there I am, a 13-year-old, growing up in this world, searching for any kind of human connection that I could find. Somewhere to belong, somewhere to feel like I'm a man. Somehow I could feel like I am a man, that I am strong, that I have something I'm a part of, that I have a family who cares about me. I found that in Familia es su 13. And I got jumped in on my 13th birthday. That moment, coming back, bloody, bruised, beaten, I had the most pride that you ever could have. I walked everywhere with blood dripping down my face with a big old nasty smile and busted up girl, but I felt right, and I felt at home. And at that moment, I knew I had something, and I had someone, and that was something I was a part of, and that was my family. And so when people talk about gang culture and gang this and gang that, and the gangs, the crime problems, and that these are problems, the problem is not the gang. And I'll make that very clear. The problem is the situations that these young men find themselves in, to where that they would offer themselves up to be beaten on by 5, 6 individuals until they're bloody or half unconscious to be accepted to have that as a family. See, if we're being driven to do things like that, I think that the society has some kind of issues. There's something else going on. There's not enough people stepping out of their cozy ass homes and making a difference or being involved. Not enough people care. And that's just as real as you can get.
So I came in with a very well-read foundation on what this field is about. So for me, what it really changed is it forced me to confront it face to face. It made me actually see who these people were and realize that this isn't just somebody on a book. This isn't somebody from Baltimore or Chicago, a distant place where I was able to just read about their lives, like sitting in my dorm room. I actually had to meet them and realize that they're real people, and just made me like confront my own privilege, even though you know it, like in your head, you know how privileged you are. It made you actually like see, whoa, like this is their lives. They really were behind these doors. They really weren't able to do the things I was able to. They weren't able to apply for college the same way. They're not going to be able to apply to certain jobs, and their life course is completely different.
We just want them to share their stories to kind of change the perspectives that other people have, so that maybe in the future, in their future jobs, whether they end up interviewing someone that's been convicted of a felony, or if they meet someone who's been convicted, they have kind of a better understanding. They're more open to, they're just more open-minded, like in general, of accepting them and hearing their stories and seeing them as a normal person as opposed to just a felon.